impunity. Even in their own houses, they are good managers. You give a woman just 20 cedis, you come back and the meal you are taking. You ask yourself, where did you get that 20 cedis from? So now, if you are able to help them to build their capacities, you can imagine the great things that they will do.
Rev, you have no idea the joy I get from just listening to you, because everyone knows I come from a family of all girls.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are 5 girls. So I'm imagining if we didn't have the opportunity, where would we be by now? Or who would be supporting my dad in his old age or my family in his old age? Rev, we are so grateful. So look, here's what you can do for us. Get onto social media, right? All the impact makers out there, you can support them. MFA, your final word.
So as one of our awardees said in the clip that was played earlier, even the judge, Gifty also mentioned it. I mean, there's so much we need to do as individuals to help our communities advance. Let's not always wait for government. I mean, it took one person and is making a lot of tremendous impact in his community, in the lives of girls. So in your community, no matter how small, it could be sanitation, it could be health, it could be, what else, agri, it could be technology. Whatever the need is, just start, like Gifty said, start now. And yes, you might not always be celebrated, but what matters is that you are changing lives. You are giving people the opportunity to live dignified lives. You understand? We are living in a very hard economy as things are now. And it's so easy for everyone to give up. But who knows, you'll be that person who will give the people around you that hope.
Right.
So it's time you start doing something. And we say start now.
Thank you so much. MFA Tiama Eli's project lead, Reverend Akaribo. Final words.
Yeah, my final word is just to acknowledge those who have impacted my life, those who impact others. And this I will not forget our Lord Jesus Christ first. And then the Crystal Life Center, David Freeman, who have been talking about impact our generation. And then I will not also forget Madam Fawe Ghana chapter. From the beginning of the project, it was very tough. It was Fawe that supported us. And then the GS who have accepted to take over the school. And one of the inspiring ladies in this country, our mother, the first former president, first lady, Nana Konedu Ajima-Rawlings. In 2000, she made a visit to the community. And that was something that has stirred up almost all the women. You see, if the first lady, Nana Konedu Ajima-Rawlings, have visited this place, then this project is something that worthwhile. And those who are not even allowing their girls to come to school started enrolling their girls. And those girls, the funny thing, I started school with some girls. So these are some of the things. So, and then my women group, which I want to thank them. And Blessing Basket Project school. My name is Wilson from USA. My women group, which I want to thank them. And Blessing Basket Project school. My name is Wilson from USA.
Amazing chance to double your salary, and even more consolation rewards in the EcoBank double salary promo reloaded.
Guys, this EcoBank salary account sounds interesting. What do you think?
Yara, but maybe next time, Charlie. You know what? I'd go shine my shoe.
Yo, myself, I'd go check my BP.
We going up, never go down, and we stay fly.
Chairman, you see the white sign it here.
Open an EcoBank salary account today for a lifetime of benefits. You also stand a chance to win more than double your salary in the EcoBank Double Salary Promo Reloaded from now till July 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
And a job life regardless.
This promo is under the supervision of the National Lottery Authority under the Caritas Lottery platform.
Smile, Look lively, okay? Smile. Is the money too small?
A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Take Gastron, your most effective antacid for the relief of symptoms of peptic ulcer, heartburn, gas pain, flatulence, and indigestion.
Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Let's go.
Mwah! Can you bring down the smiles more? Gastron, effective relief from stomach discomfort. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time, our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. We watched these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silkfish, echinalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults, this price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It's been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Score HD, the new exciting football channel, is now available only on HD Plus and brings you football from around the world. Watch Sadio Mane and Daniel Kufitre in the top weekly match of the Bundesliga 1 and DFB Cup, Primera Liga, Copa de la Liga Profesional, see Ronaldo in the Saudi Pro League, as well as daily sports news every other hour. Also, get updated on Messi and Mbappe on PSG TV and many more. Feely on HD Plus channel 151. Agronaede, HD Plus, the Feely experience.
And thanks for staying with us. Kweku Asante is our parliamentary correspondent. Is joining us with the latest on happenings in Parliament. Kweku, let's start off with the official reasons being given by the minority side of the House. Almost all of them could not be found in the chamber. Why?
Well, yes, indeed, Blessed. None of them attended sitting today, and they had given that official warning when Judge Christine was sworn in last Tuesday that they were not going to attend sittings if the criminal prosecution of some of their members continued, particularly that one having to do with Judge Christine, who is standing trial for alleged perjury and forgery. There's also two other trials involving their members, one involving their leader, Dr. Kiselato Forsen, that having to do with causing financial loss to the state, and another causing financial loss to the state case having to do with Collins Zauda, the MP for Shikiti North. So the NDC MPs clearly said that if their colleagues were asked to be in court, then they were going to be in court with them and will not come to Parliament. And so today, when sitting started, they were nowhere to be found. There were two cases in court today, one having to do with James Jachikweisen, the other having to do with Dr. Kiselato Forsen. And so the minority MPs then decided that they were going to accompany these two colleagues of theirs to court. And that is exactly what happened. Early on, we caught up with the Minority Chief Whip Gavin Kwame Abuja, who offered some inkling, some idea as to what exactly they wanted to do. They described the prosecution as persecution and said that until it stopped, whenever these MPs had to go to court, they will accompany them and abandon sitting.
So what then happens tomorrow, for instance, as we know that some cases will be heard?
So I'm not so clear yet if Judge Christine's case will be heard tomorrow or that of Dr. Kiselato Forsen, as well as that of Collins Zauda. But the understanding is that whenever any of these persons have to go to court, they will accompany them. Even if it's one, if it's all three, even if it's all two, then that is going to be the situation. And so the business in the House today suffered a good deal. There were a number of questions that stood in the name of these NDC MPs, but they were not there to ask those questions. At some point, the Speaker said that these questions have to be deferred to another time, and that is what leadership had. They were not there to ask those questions. At some point, the Speaker said that these questions have to be deferred to another time, and that is what leadership had.
Brings you joy? Look no further, because the Joy News Habitat Fair is here. Join us for an extraordinary event that celebrates affordability, comfort, and luxury in the housing and construction industry in Ghana. This year, the Joy News Habitat Fair is bringing together the leading players in the housing and construction industry all under one roof.
With a wide range of exhibitors including developers, architects, interior designers, and financiers, the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair has everything you need to turn your vision into a reality. Be part of the 14th edition of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair, powered by the vision into a reality. Be part of the 14th edition of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair, powered by the
decided to reach out to them. And the first youth chapter of the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International started at University of Cape Coast in 2008. And I happened to be a member by then. I joined in 2009. Right. And I've been through up until this point. And so, yes,